parents, welcome to our talk on the 3 secrets that finally reduced my son's ADHD symptoms while having more fun than we ever thought possible. So my goal is that you walk away with 3 strategies to reduce your child's ADHD symptoms so you can not only bring more calm and peace and joy back into your household, but so that you can actually bring some adventure into it as well. And that makes everyone's lives happier and healthier. And in Nature Matters Academy, we're all about setting up our kids for success while having a heck of a good time. So if you stay to the end of this training, I'm going to tell you why all the things that you've been trying for years, why they haven't worked, and what you can do instead. And like I said, you're going to walk away with the top 3 things that your kids absolutely need to reach their potential and to deal with their ADHD symptoms. And here's the thing, you guys, it's not something that you can start when life slows down or when things get easier. It's something you have to start today in order for these strategies to work long-term and to actually have a lasting impact in their lives. So if you guys will go ahead and find a quiet place. You guys have heard this before. You've been on these types of trainings before. Here's the thing is that over the next 30 minutes, I'm going to be saying all kinds of different ideas. And if you get distracted even for a minute, what I'm talking about during that time could be that one missing piece of your puzzle. It could be the one thing that changes everything for you. So shut the door, give the kids something fun to do, and then really focus in while you're here with me. So you guys, my name is Jenny Lloyd Strovis. I am an ADHD mom of 2 gifted ADHD brilliant little boys. They're super fun, a little hyper, but super fun. I'm also a biologist, and essentially what I do is I take a non-traditional approach to managing ADHD symptoms so that the kids are not only more focused, less emotional, all the ADHD things, but they're having the time of their lives while learning new things. That's really what we focus on. We focus on getting the kids outside, learning something new, having a heck of a good time, and while they're doing it, they're learning to manage all of their ADHD symptoms. Guys, I've been teaching for 20 years, and this stuff works. I have taught at the college level for over 13 years. I've taught at the K through 12 level during the entire 20 years that I've been teaching, and I know that these things work for ADHD kids because I've worked with hundreds of kids and families. So let me see if you can relate. You wake up most mornings feeling anxious, not knowing what kinds of meltdowns you're going to be dealing with that day. You worry about your kids coming home from school or your local co-op with yet another red card or frowny face, and you dread checking your email because you can't handle another bad behavior message from the teacher. Or maybe they have decent behavior in class or in school, but their homework and their schoolwork, it's a mess. They skip questions, they don't read instructions, they can't spell the simplest of words, and they earn grades far below their capabilities. Maybe you're tired of spending your nights sifting through blogs, books, YouTube videos, and searching for something that will actually work. You always dream of having adventures with your kids where everyone is happy, everyone's having a good time, but instead, you can't even get out the door because there is so much chaos in the house. So if you're nodding your head in agreement, it's because I know how you feel. We've all tried these things too. It's not your fault if things aren't working because it's hard to know who to trust and what to do. I've tried so many things, but it didn't really seem to work. It took me a while to figure it out. And, just like you guys, I would lie awake in bed at night, like searching things and Googling things and trying to figure out all the things. And the fact is they didn't really work, and it took me some time to figure these things out. So let me tell you what the real problem is. We believe that there's one magical strategy out there that's our golden ticket to happier, easier parenting journey. And the fact is, it's not one thing. It's actually a couple of different domains of things that we need to focus on for our ADHD kids. We believe often that medication will solve our problems. Medication can help a lot, and it can have a huge impact on many of our kids. But if we don't get these other domains settled, if we don't figure these other things out, then they are relying simply on medication and they have no other strategies to go with. And that's not what we want to do for our kids. We want to give them a full breadth of strategies and help them see the big picture. And medication is just one piece of that puzzle if that's something you choose to do. Honestly, we believe that it has to be a struggle, right? We believe that, no pain, no gain, life's a journey. We have all of these things, and all that's true. But the fact is, you can struggle less, and your journey can be shorter. We just have to choose and make that decision to do that. So And then finally, often we believe that medical professionals know what's best. And if you're here, I'm sure you've already seen somebody. If you haven't, the ADHD world is a really interesting place with a lot of different ideas of what things work. And typically they come from people who don't have experience with ADHD. And so you've got to be able to draw the line when you're talking to people who you know aren't giving you good information, right? So here's a dream. The dream is that you'll wake up every morning happy instead of feeling that feeling of dread. Your kids are happy and they're confident in themselves. And that is a huge piece, right? Our kids need to know themselves and know that they are valued and know their worth. You go to bed at night without feeling guilt because guess what? You didn't yell today. And that's an amazing feeling when you're not constantly yelling at your kids because you have strategies that actually work with the behaviors that they have. And you're spending more time as a family having fun instead of dealing with meltdowns and arguing and sibling rivalry and all the things. And guess what? You're finally starting to feel happy. So let me tell you a little bit about my journey in this. So I was your typical ADHD girl who wasn't diagnosed as a kid, wasn't even considered having ADHD as a kid because it turns out my hyper focus is math and science. And because I was good at school, good at math and science in school, I was never even considered as having ADHD. And I didn't really realize that my brother was diagnosed as a kid. I didn't realize I had it until I got into high school and I started studying in groups. And that's when I saw that I was really good at some things and really bad at others. Like the gap was really big. I was so quick in math, so quick in science, everything just clicked there. But when it came to things like reading, I noticed it would take me 3 to 4 times longer to read the same like short snippet as the other students in the class or the people that I was studying with. And then not only did it take me longer to read, I didn't get it. Reading comprehension was really, really hard for me. And all these peers would be coming up with these brilliant ideas. And I was like, I don't even understand what it said. And it was really hard because I knew I was smart. I always excelled in math and science, but for some reason, reading was so hard for me. So as I went through school, as you guys know, I have a PhD in biology. And as I went through school, I developed strategies that worked for me because that's what all ADHD people do. They develop strategies to help them deal with all of the symptoms that come with, basically a lack of ability to focus and to guide our attention in the right spots. And so kind of had it together, thought I had it together at least, and then I had kids. And oh my gosh, that like flipped everything upside down because all these strategies that I used, which was typically like, turning off distractions and isolating myself and using these various strategies so I could focus and study and read and do all the things that I needed to be a scientist. It turns out you can't do that when you have kids because they are always there and they always need you. And I was interrupted every 5 minutes. And then as they got older, I started seeing ADHD in all of their characteristics. So not only did I have to redesign how I dealt with life in general, but I had to figure out how to help my own kids really develop the strategies to help them be successful. And you guys, it wasn't easy. This was me when I was kind of at my worst. And it was really those first 7 years of having kids because I was exhausted. We had constant power struggles, really intense power struggles, daily meltdowns. I had family members actually ask me what was wrong with my kid. The first one, I was like, I don't know. The second one, I was like, I think he'll be okay because the first one turned out all right. But my kids couldn't self-regulate. And to be honest, neither could I. I would yell, cry, lock myself in the bathroom. And, I just remember sitting there thinking to myself, why does my life have to be like this? And I'm sure that there are plenty of other parents out there thinking the same thing. Why does it have to be like this? Why is it so hard? I'm so exhausted. We have all these battles. Because we are struggling with the same things. And I want to tell you something. There is hope here that everything that you want is based on the decision you make. So I'm going to give you 3 really, really powerful strategies today that are completely going to change your life. But here's the thing. You have to make the decision to actually do it. And as parents, we get stuck in the day-to-day minutia. And it's hard for us to actually apply what we've learned. Learning is easy, right? Applying what we learn and actually taking action is where it gets sticky. And I'm going to tell you guys how we can help you actually apply what you've learned today here at the end of this. So I just want to let you know, my process going through this, it was trial and error. I made a lot of mistakes. I did so much research. I'm a researcher, I'm a scientist, right? So the research is fun, but again, it's the applying. I had struggle, confusion, frustration on how to apply things and when and how to make it all come together. It took me a while to figure it out. And I had to unlearn all the things that I thought were right. I had to test out different formulas to see what worked. And again, like I mentioned, you guys are probably doing the same thing, staying up night, Googling all the things, trying to read it, and just thinking, oh my gosh, I'm spending so much time figuring this out. How much easier would it be if I just had someone who knew and could help me? But the fact is, I didn't find anybody that could. And so I spent time figuring it out. I spent a lot of, I invested in myself. I invested in my education to become not only an expert in science, but also an expert in ADHD and how we can treat ADHD in some more like alternative natural ways. And I'm going to share those with you today. So here's what I've discovered. Over those years of frustration and research and all the things, I discovered my kids weren't bad kids. Some people thought they were, but they weren't. I wasn't a bad mom. I've actually been told that I was a bad mom. Okay. So talk about being at the lowest of the low when people think your kids are bad kids and you're a bad mom, right? And I discovered that's not true for me. And I know that's not true for you either. Your kids are good kids. You're a good mom. You just need strategies that work, number one, and you need help implementing them. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later. I discovered that the doctor's way wasn't the only way. The doctors didn't even know what they were talking about. I had to find a specialist in order to get the help that I needed in some of those areas. And I had to bring it back to the basics and make it fun. Because at the end of the day, if we're not having fun with our kids, what are we teaching them about life? What are we teaching them about adulthood, right? We need to help them to really enjoy this life that they've been given. And they can, even despite all of their challenges with ADHD. So let me tell you a little bit about what some of the parents have been saying about our work together. So this is one of the kids who's been in our program for years. And his mom said, I just had to text you. Just talked to Lincoln. He said it was the best 3 hours of his year. This is a 13-year-old boy. Best 3 hours of his year. He said he doubled his knowledge and that it's better than playing video games. Thank you so much. So the story here was a summer camp. We had a group of boys aged 7 to 13, and we basically just opened it up and said, all right, guys, what do you want to learn about? They were like snakes. I was like, cool. So we did some brainstorming processes and techniques and to figure out what specifically about snakes they wanted to learn about. Snake cognition, kid you not. That was what they came up with. And then guess what? They came up with a question to test. Can rat snakes recognize familiar prey scent in a novel environment? Kid you not, this is what a group of 7 to 13 ADHD boys came up with. And it's because all of our kids are brilliant. All of our kids have a gift. They're all so incredibly smart and they can do wicked cool things. They just need someone to guide them and help them. And that's what we did. And, you know, we ended up having to do 3 different experiments. First one failed. Second one failed. Third one not only worked like a charm, but it actually helped us to see how incredibly smart snakes are. And they don't just operate on intuition. And so the kids learned resilience. They learned that things aren't always what you seem. Snakes are a lot smarter than you think they are. They learned such amazing things. And again, you guys, it's all about, they were having fun and they were learning. And while they were doing these things, they were learning self-regulation, critical thinking, resilience, all the skills that ADHD kids desperately need to be successful in life. So this is another one of our parents who, again, has been in the program for a long time, and she has young kids. And her thing is that she wants to set up her kids for success early because she can see these things coming up in the distance, and she wants to cut them off. She wants to be preventative, right? And she says, you're missing out if you haven't enrolled your kids in Dr. Jenny's program. Our boys have blossomed and are thinking differently and appreciating life and more happy. It's everything, and we can't imagine our life without it. So again, that's a proactive mom that is really trying to set up her kids for success early. And this is a comment from Karen, one of our parents from our Building Resilient Kids boot camp. And she said, first of all, I want to tell you that I'm very grateful for this day on the boot camp. I've learned so much, and I realize how much I have to learn And that thought excites me. I'm very grateful for people like you that give the most and the best that you can so mortals like me can enjoy and offer our kids what really matters, which is nature and the quality of life that everyone deserves. So what makes us different? What makes us different is that we're getting the kids outside, we're learning STEM, we are learning about the natural world around us, like our local ecosystem, and all the while kids are practicing self-regulation, critical thinking, and they're developing resilience. These are all the things that ADHD kids absolutely need to reach their potential. So here's the thing, guys. Done a lot of things right, and we've had a lot of fun doing those right things. I've also done some things wrong. And after doing this for 15 years, I know what ADHD kids need. They need to recognize and celebrate their amazing gifts. Think about those kids that I told you at our camp that came up to, with this idea to test snake cognition. All of them have amazing gifts, and they're incredibly bright, and they have something amazing to offer the world, but they need help getting that out and into the world and practicing in a way that makes them feel heard and seen and valued. And guess what? They also need help for their challenges, because their challenges are going to kind of block them from feeling valued. And so we need to help them with that. So of course, I discovered this the hard way. You guys heard my story, but you get to cheat and you get to totally do it the easy way, because I'm going to tell you how to do that. So the hard way, finding programs, schools, co-ops, teachers, even pediatricians that understand ADHD, many of them will claim that they do. But that's not actually true. They don't actually have the experience or the knowledge to be able to do that. The hard way is managing big emotions and difficult behaviors without any support. And the hard way is not having the confidence to put it all together. And I'm going to show you guys a way that we can help you do that at the end of this. So do you want the easy way to support your ADHD kiddo while having a ton of fun in the process? I know you guys do. Stick with me. And here in just a couple minutes, I'm going to share with you our 3 strategies. First, I want to talk a little bit about myths about ADHD, just so we're all on the same page. So it is a real diagnosis. Most people believe that now, but so many people use it as kind of an excuse for forgetful behavior. Oh, I forgot my phone. My ADHD is acting up. I forgot my keys, this, that, and the other. And, it's fine to joke and make light of things. It's not a big deal. But our kids need to understand that this, what they have is a real issue, and they need real strategies to deal with it. If we just throw it up in the air like, oh, everybody has ADHD because everybody's forgetful, then they're not going to focus on developing strategies that actually work for them. And so we've got to be very explicit, proactive, intentional about the fact that we need to do XYZ to help with lack of focus, to help with impulsivity, hyperactivity, inattentiveness, whatever it is. There is a myth that if an ADHD kid can focus on something, that they don't really have ADHD. This is actually what prompted me to leave our pediatrician, because I told him that, my son could focus on, science and math because he really loved it. And he's like, oh, well, then he doesn't have ADHD. And having it myself, I know that that is completely not true. Is underlying that is the assumption that people with ADHD are stupid. And that is not true. You are brilliant. Your kids are brilliant. They have a great thing to offer the world. It's just that we have to kind of balance out some of the struggles. Oh my goodness, I love this one. Your kids will grow out of it. No, they won't. If you had ADHD as a kid, you have it as an adult. The thing is, you've just developed strategies to deal with it. And this is really important that you guys, if you don't walk away with anything else, remember this, is that kids are going to find strategies to deal with their ADHD. Now, they may be lucky and choose positive strategies. Most of them are unlucky and they choose not so great strategies. And so as a kid, it looks like, oh my gosh, playing video games and, all the things that kind of distract them and get their mind thinking about something that they actually enjoy. But we know that ADHD folks are deal with addiction. And so a lot of ADHD people grow up to be addicted to food, addicted to alcohol, drug abuse, gambling, all the things that you become addicted to. That's how people deal with their struggles of ADHD as adults. There are very few that just come out with these strategies dealing with it on their own. And so we have to be proactive when they are kids to teach them strategies that are productive and actually help them to be successful in life. And then, of course, there's the myth that ADHD only looks one way, and that's a hyperactive boy with no impulse control or attention span. And we know that's not true. That's kind of the classic view of ADHD. But there's also inattentive ADHD. And then Dr. Daniel Amen, who is a psychiatrist who does a lot of brain scans, he's found that there's a few different types of emotional ADHD. And which makes sense because us ADHD folks, we tend to be a little emotional. And so he has a few different categories under emotional ADHD. So we know that ADHD looks different from person to person. And that's where it comes in really important that you need to find someone who can actually give you help, because each kid is different, each parent is different. The way that you interact is going to be different because you're two different people, right? And so you really need to look for these strategies that are personalized to your specific kids as well as yourself. So as I mentioned, ADHD looks many different ways, but there are some things that are common. And those are the fact that your ADHD kid is highly creative. Your ADHD kid is a great problem solver. Like, they don't think just like outside the box. They think like on another planet, right? And they're bringing ideas that you would have never even considered because they're so incredibly creative. Another thing that ADHD folks are and kids are, they tend to be more compassionate and forgiving because they've been judged all their lives for all the things. Sometimes they're big things. Usually they're little things like, not knowing where their shoes are and everything else, but they tend to be more compassionate and forgiving because they felt so much judgment, they don't want to do that to others. So these are amazing qualities of our ADHD kids. So you guys, at Nature Matters Academy, we work with ADHD kids and their families to push the kids in their strengths while having a ton of fun. That's a really big component of what we do. We want the kids to have a really good time and to have a very engaging experience. And while we're doing that, we provide them with plenty of opportunities to grow in their challenges. So again, they need to develop self-regulation, they need to develop critical thinking skills, and they need to develop resilience. And we work on all of those. So are you ready? We're going to get into our 3 strategies now. So the 3 secrets that finally reduced my son's ADHD symptoms while having more fun than we ever thought possible. Secret number 1 is connection. So here's the thing. We believe that we need to fix whatever's wrong with our kids, right? And that's what you focus on. My kid can't focus on how to finish his homework. I got to fix this. My kid it can't sit still in his chair. I've got to fix this. And here's the thing. We should really be focusing on their gifts and all the amazing things that they have to offer the world. Because if we can focus on their gifts, then we can leverage those and to be able to help them to deal with their struggles. So really, as parents, instead of focusing on our kids and all the things that are wrong with them, we need to focus on ourselves and how we can connect with our kids to have, to connect on a deeper level so that we can, again, leverage what they love to help them with their struggles. This is really, really important. If you're not connecting with your kids, then I can guarantee that you're going to have all of these other problems, all the misbehaviors, and we've got to go back to kind of this foundation of safety and love. Kids need to feel seen, heard, and valued. So, because again, connection, if you don't have a connection, this is kind of the basis for so much misbehavior. Backtalk, sibling rivalry, arguments, meltdowns, all the things. Connection is also a huge determinant for their academic success. And it's also the foundation of any meaningful relationship they are going to have in their lives. And so we really need to focus on this connection piece. So let's talk a little bit about a guy that we all know, Michael Phelps, right? And he is the most decorated Olympian of all time. But guess what? He also had ADHD. And guess what? His teachers also called him stupid. So he says here in a comment, I saw kids who, we were all in the same class, and the teachers treated them differently than they would treat me. I had a teacher tell me that I would never amount to anything and I would never be successful. All of our kids have heard that at some level, in some way, in some wording, because all of our kids struggle and they're not your, neurotypical student, right? And so he said, medications helped. But at the end of the day, where he was able to cope with his symptoms, where he was able to excel in life was in the pool. And he said that his mom was basically a huge part of this for him because she basically loved the fact that I swam because she wanted me to drain as much energy out of my body as I possibly could. And she didn't mind the many hours shuttling to and from competitions. And so his mom saw the value in this thing for him because he was engaged in it. He didn't have a lot of friends. His teachers obviously weren't very impressed with him. He had all of these things going on, but he could cope in the pool. And he said, I think the biggest thing for me was once I found that it was okay to talk to someone and seek help, I think that's something that changed my life forever. Now I'm able to live life to its fullest. And the thing is, all of our kids need some help. They need guidance. And sometimes, as parents, we can give it to them. Sometimes as parents, we need to find some outside help to be able to help our kids. And it's a big part of what we do in Nature Matters Academy is being that other person that's not mom, but that loves the kids and supports them and really encourages them in what they're good at, while also help them manage their struggles. So imagine what it would feel like if your kid, who you know has something amazing to offer the world, they didn't reach their potential. But they got stuck either in their career, their relationships, or in their head, and they weren't able to move forward, and it came down to them feeling seen, heard, and valued. We need to connect with our kids in order for them to reach their potential. And the thing is, as a parent, we need strategies and support to do that. Those are the two things that we need. So here's the thing. Every month, every year that you wait, it gets harder. It's easy to make these kinds of changes with a 5-year-old. It is not easy with a 13-year-old. And the earlier you get started, the better childhood your kids will have. But the longer you wait, the harder it gets, and you'll be losing valuable time to build on their strengths while teaching them how to manage those challenges. You'll be losing valuable time to connect with your kids. So let's head on over to secret number 2 is that we really need to get back to the basics. We need to get back to nature. So here's the thing. Here's what we believe. We believe that our kids are just going to grow out of it. And the fact is they are not going to grow out of it. We know this is true for all ADHD adults. We just figure out ways to cope. We figure out ways to deal with our big emotions. We figure out ways to deal with our lack of focus and all the things. Sometimes they're productive ways. Typically, they are not productive ways, and they're actually destructive. And here's the thing, as parents, we sabotage our ADHD kids by not explicitly teaching them the skills they need to positively manage their symptoms. They need focused support in this area. Just like you would hire a piano teacher, right, to help your kids learn music, you need to find the professionals that your kids need in order to reach their potential. So we need to set up our kids for success biologically. So when we talk about getting back to the basics and back to nature, we talk about, our kids need proper nutrition. Without proper nutrition, their brains are not going to function properly. Without proper sleep, again, their brains are not going to function properly. Without proper exercise, again, their brains are not going to function properly, and they need oxygen in their brains. So ADHD is all about up here, right? It's usually the prefrontal cortex, where we have a lack of dopamine and some other hormones that really help us to stay focused and to be motivated to get things done. And we can change a lot of the way that our brain works with nutrition, sleep, exercise, and oxygen. And so these are some of the things that we go through in Nature Matters Academy just to help set up kids, give them that foundation that they need biologically. But guess what? They also need to learn in nature. There has been research, so much research done in the last 50 to 70 years on the power of nature for our kids' ability to learn. Research suggests that learning outside can increase critical thinking and problem-solving skills. It can increase cooperative behaviors and cognitive development and so many other things. And in fact, current research is showing that being outside in nature actually helps our ADHD kids' brains specifically. It increases their attentiveness, decreases hyperactivity and impulsivity. It helps them with their social behaviors, and it leads to more positive emotions. All the things that our ADHD kids need, you guys, it's outside. And we can help them get there. And I want to tell you, so being outside, it also encourages our kids' exploration, discovery, creativity, imagination, innovation, all the things that essentially they need to be in good, successful careers. And the reason that nature kind of is able to refill and recharge their ADHD buckets is because of a theory called attention restoration theory. It's actually a hypothesis. This is a misuse of the word theory, but attention restoration hypothesis, it was coined in the 80s, but it's actually described back in the 60s. And it's this idea that there are two types of attention, voluntary and involuntary. Voluntary attention is like doing your homework. Involuntary attention is like when you're outside on a walk and you're just feeling the breeze and seeing the sun reflecting on the leaves and hearing the birds, and all these things are happening around you, and you are paying attention to them, but kind of not really. You're kind of in your own space. And it's this idea that nature automatically kind of draws on our involuntary attention. And this hypothesis states that the more our ADHD kids fill up their involuntary attention buckets, so the more they're able to feel the breeze, hear the birds, see the light shining, all these little things that kind of fill up our involuntary attention buckets, it gives them more attention for doing their homework. It gives them more attention for paying attention in class or in their co-op or whatever it is. And so the thing is, you need to fill up your ADHD kids' bucket so that they can focus to do their schoolwork. And you can easily do that by getting outside and helping them learn outside. So imagine the life your ADHD kid could have if you were able to give them the tools and the confidence they needed to manage their challenges so they could let their gifts shine in the world. Imagine what that would be like, right? So your ADHD kids can learn to manage their challenges. Absolutely. You just need the right strategies and the right support. And here's the thing. Information alone is not going to help you. It's not going to create the type of childhood that you want for your kids. You need systems, you need strategies, you need an action plan, you need support. And I've already given you a ton of information in this training, right? But information alone is not going to help you because you're not going to take action on it. You need to take action. We're going to show you how to do that at the end of this training. So the last secret that we want to share with you is support and accountability, because at the end of the day, again, you can learn all the things, but if you don't do anything, nothing matters. Nothing makes a difference. So here's the last thing that we believe. So we believe that if we read enough books, if we watch enough YouTube videos, if we see enough therapists and doctors, that eventually we're going to figure it out. How's that been working for you? Guessing it hasn't been working very well, because I did the same thing, right? And again, it's all about collecting information without actually applying it. And the secret is that we need support and accountability to hold ourselves responsible, to empower us, to encourage us, and to give us community so that we are able to make the changes that we need in our homes, in our own personal lives, to support our kids with ADHD. So imagine you knowing without a doubt that you're supporting your ADHD kid in the ways they need support, not only in their gifts, but also in their challenges. Imagine having tailored strategies specifically for your kids, and they're making a huge difference in their lives. Imagine having a happy and joyful and adventurous household. What would that feel like? It would be amazing, right? And this is what we want for our kids. Sometimes we just need a little help getting there. And your kids can grow into confident, resilient, happy adults. You need the right strategies and support and accountability to get there. So, do you want to start breaking old habits today? You guys know how these things go. You get on a webinar, you get super excited, you make a plan, then you never take action, and you never move the needle. Then a year later, you find yourself even worse off than you are today. Things are not going to get better for you. They're not going to get better for your ADHD kid if you don't decide to take action today. So here are the 3 secrets that we talked about, guys. You need to connect with your kids. We have great ways in Nature Matters Academy to do that. We basically walk you through everything so you don't have to really think or research, do all the work, and you have all these great strategies for connecting. And number 2, get back to nature. Not only biologically do we need to set up our kids for success, but turns out, according to the scientific research, our kids actually need to be learning outside. And it's so much more important for ADHD kids. And then finally, we need support and accountability, because without it, we're not going to make changes, and we're not going to stick to those changes. So again, you guys, here's the dream. The dream is getting outside with your family. Everyone's happy. Everyone's playing. You're learning. You're growing together as a family. And, it's all the things that you dreamed of, that you dreamed parenting being like. And you can get there, and you will get there if you decide to take action, right? And we're going to help you with that today. So let me ask you a question. How would it feel to see your ADHD kid being challenged in their strengths and absolutely loving it? How would your ADHD kid's attitude change if they were being supported in their challenges in a fun and engaging way? What would your family life be like if you had the confidence and skills to guide your ADHD kid in their gifts? It would be amazing, right? We want all of those things, and our life would be completely different with those. And we can help you with that today. So you guys, you signed up today for a reason. You want to bring back some joy and peace into your house. You want to stop waking up feeling a sense of dread and knowing that you're going to be dealing with these epic meltdowns. You want to stop going to bed feeling guilty for yelling. Oh my gosh, there's so much yelling with ADHD kids. You want a simple and fun way to manage your child's ADHD symptoms. And you want your child to be happier, healthier, and do better in school. And you guys, we can help you with that. So how would you like it if we could help you implement this, right? So my team and I, we set aside time each week to be able to do this. And we call it our ADHD Audit. And essentially what it is, it's a private one-on-one 20 to 30-minute strategy session. So you can get the attention and individualized support that you need. So here's what we know is that each kid is different, each parent is different, the interaction between that kid and parent is different. And so these broad strategies don't work unless you have support to implement them in your individual family with your kids. And you guys, we contract with all kinds of businesses. We have a $200 an hour rate. And so a 20 to 30-minute session, that's about $100 value for us. So you guys, there are two types of parents. There are two types of parents that we really deal with. And one is, this parent that really likes the idea of leveraging STEM and nature to support their ADHD kids, but they never really seem to take initiative to take action. Then we have the other parent, you're right, and they put their kids on their cell phones, right? Then we have the other parent who sees the value of leveraging STEM and nature, and they are action takers. They are investors. They invest their time and their money to have the right tools to support their kids so they can create the type of childhood that they want for their kids, right? One where their kids have the strategies to reach their potential. So with our ADHD audit call, we also make it custom, right? So that you can walk away and know exactly where you're stuck and a clear path to move forward. So we're going to talk about kind of what is your biggest challenge and what's one strategy that we can give you to move forward. And of course, that's $100 value because that's a game changer. It's actually probably more than that because it's going to help you to move forward in your relationships. So here's the thing, guys, there are no time machines. You can't get this time back. Every week, month, year that goes by is a lost opportunity, and it gets harder and harder as they get older. You have the opportunity through this call to get clarity now, to get clarity on where you're stuck and a clear path to move forward. So again, clarity, confidence, and focus for your family so you can throw the guilt in the trash and push the overwhelm aside because you'll know exactly where you're stuck and how to move forward. And that is a huge thing, right? Just having that clarity and that confidence. So speaking of, one of our families, she said, I put Dr. Jenny's advice into practice today. I told the kids their job as scientists was to collect sticks, measure, then graph their findings. Little guy was most excited about collecting and using the wheelbarrow. I helped my older girl with recording and graph making. Dr. Jenny was totally right about setting them up for success by letting them know the expectations. So this is a great example. The kids don't know that they're not fighting, right? Kids don't know they're constantly arguing and talking back. They are outside having a heck of a good time, and they are learning self-regulation and resilience in the process. So is 20 minutes of your time worth clarity and confidence? Absolutely. So, of course, another thing that you're going to get is you're going to get no more overwhelm or confusion, so you can focus on what matters most, which is your family. You shouldn't be spending all this time on blogs and on YouTube trying to figure out the things. Your time should be spent with your kids. And we can give you the tools and strategies to be with your kids and in the moment with your kids instead of doing all the research. So again, another one of our families, she's like, I joined the Back to Nature boot camp designed to help me get my kids engaged in nature 2 months ago. I subsequently signed up for an online class. It's been a game changer for me. It's provided us with home curriculum, weekly coaching, purposeful, intentional nature activities, and a new community of support. So you guys, we are here and we can help you to kind of get this childhood that you want for your kids. So say goodbye to mom guilt, say goodbye to dad guilt, say goodbye to overwhelm. Right now, those issues are a big deal for you. I get it. I was there too, because raising ADHD kids is so incredibly overwhelming. But after you hop on a call with us, all that's gone. You have a clear idea of where you're stuck and how you can move forward. So again, all of these things, you guys, this is a $200 value. to get clarity, confidence, no more confusion or overwhelm, and to get a strategy that actually works for you and your kid. And if all this audit did was help you understand that your ADHD kid needs as much support with their challenges as they do with their strengths, would it be worth it? Absolutely. What if it gave you the confidence you needed to create better experiences for your kids? Would it be worth it? Absolutely. So guys, today we are offering a special on this where instead of paying $200, you get a hop on for $7. It's $7 for 20 to 30 minutes of my time or one of my team members' time to help you really identify what is that biggest challenge and one strategy that you can use to move past it. And while we're on this call, we're of course going to tell you a little bit about what we do and what we can offer you. So you have one of two choices to make. You can choose not to do anything, and you can either stay the same or things can potentially get worse over time, right? Or you can choose to hop on a call with us for only $7. And then you're going to walk away with a clear understanding of where you're stuck and how you can move forward. And that is, to me, that is, of course, priceless. So you guys, it's now or never. The training is over. Go ahead and go sign up, reserve your spot so that we can talk together this week and get you moving in a better direction. And we can tell you a little bit about how Nature Matters Academy can help. All right, have a good one.